And right now it's 6. The chief of the Atlanta Police Department is out, less than 24 hours after a deadly police shooting. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms has accepted the resignation of Chief Erica Shields. It comes less than 24 hours after a deadly police shooting in southwest Atlanta. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Hollinger.
And I'm Faith Abube. A police officer shot and killed 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks outside of a Wendy's on University Avenue in southwest Atlanta. Happened last night around 10:30 p.m. Witnesses in the drive-thru recorded the shooting. You're taking a look at one of the videos there, and so far thousands of people are sharing the videos online, including high-profile Metro Atlanta attorney Gerald Griggs. One of the police officers shot Brooks after a struggle with the officers. Brooks got a hold of the taser and started running before that shooting. Mayor Bottoms says she reviewed that footage and then announced her decision this afternoon.
Chief Shields has offered to immediately step aside as police chief so that the city may move forward with urgency in rebuilding the trust so desperately needed throughout our communities.
And again, Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields has resigned from her position. Mayor Bottoms says Chief Shields will remain in another role with the city of Atlanta. And Rodney Bryan has now been named interim police chief.
He has been with the police department since 1989 and also has been involved in corrections. Now, the mayor also says that she is asking for the immediate firing of the officer who fired the shot that killed Brooks. We have team coverage of this developing story tonight, including the responses from city officials, leaders, and the family of Rayshard Brooks, plus how the community and activists are reacting to all of this. Let's go first to Hope Ford. She is at City Hall with the very latest from the mayor about the police chief's resignation and the disciplinary actions for those officers involved at that Wendy's.
Yeah, that's right. Mayor Brooks says this was the third time this week that she has spent the day reviewing body camera footage. Now, she says that the video that she watched obviously shows the officers trying to arrest Rayshard Brooks, who then is seen tussling with the officers. And then Brooks appears to run away, or he does run away. And she says the video shows at one point that he appears to turn over his shoulder and fire the taser at one of the officers. And that is when the officer shot him. Now, I want you to listen to exactly what Mayor Bottoms said she believes after she watched that video.
While there may be debate as to whether this was an appropriate use of deadly force, I firmly believe that there is a clear distinction between what you can do and what you should do. I do not believe that this was a justified use of deadly force and have called for the immediate termination of the officer.
And when we're talking about she reviewed the video, that is the body camera footage that we're talking about. Now, the other officer seen in the video, he has been placed on administrative duty. And Mayor Bottoms said that as far as the resignation of now former Chief Shields, Shields offered her resignation and the mayor did accept it. Of course, now we know Rodney Bryan is now the interim police chief as a nationwide search is going to take place for a permanent replacement.
All right, Hope Ford, outside of City Hall. Thank you, Hope. Now, let's go to Doug Richards. He is at the Wendy's where all this happened on University Avenue. In southwest Atlanta, protesters are gathered there now. And Doug, we understand the GBI has released some new video of this incident from about 10:30 last night.
True that, Jeff. This happened, as you said, in the parking lot of this Wendy's here. And there were several sources of video. There was cell phone video, there was body cam video. But the GBI director, Vic Reynolds, says that some of the most compelling video was from the surveillance cameras at the restaurant. This was a man suspected of DUI who police say grabbed a police taser and fled. And before we show the video, we'll let Reynolds describe what it shows.
Well, it does appear in the video that he is fleeing from the Atlanta police officers, that as he's fleeing, he turns back over his shoulder with what appears to the naked eye to be this taser that a witness has told us they saw the individual have that belonged to one of the officers. And as he turned it over, you'll be able to see on the video the Atlanta officer literally reached down to get his service weapon And as he gets his weapon, Mr. Brooks begins turning his body away from him, I presume, to flee, and it looks like that's when the discharge of the weapon goes off then.
So there are blue lights on the left side of the screen. You will see a man run to the right with 2 police officers chasing him. It appears that the fleeing man turns. You even see a small flash that may or may not be the taser firing, and then it ends very quickly with the man mortally wounded from a police gunshot. This video or portions of it are available also on 11alive.com. Reynolds says that the video will be digitally enhanced and then turn over as part of an investigative package to the Fulton County District Attorney for steps that that agency may want to take in this case. Jeff, back to you.
All right, Doug, thank you so much for that. As you can imagine, we have reporters all across the metro covering this. We want to go live now to Latasha Givens, who's also there at the Wendy's where we just heard from Doug. And she's been there all afternoon speaking with the Brooks family. And Latasha, what are they saying?
Well, Faith, this is a very emotional time for the Brooks family. As you can imagine, a lot of them were gathered here this morning, and it became a very emotional moment because there were a lot of tears and protesters were hugging them. The size of the crowd has changed throughout the day. If you look behind me, you can see the protesters who are here now. They were here within minutes of those shots being fired last night. And when we spoke to the Brooks family this morning, they tell us Brooks was a husband and father who was simply going to get something to eat and did not deserve to die at the hands of police. Here's some of our emotional interview with Rayshard's cousin.
I watched this on the internet, from the whole George Floyd situation to us coming together like we doing something. And this whole thing landed on my doorstep with my little cousin. I seen the video. I just think for me, the most hurtful thing for me is to watch the video, wake up and watch that video. And I got 2 little boys. They see the same video. That's their cousin. That's what hurt so much. I thought Atlanta was higher than that. I thought we was bigger than that. I just want to make enough noise that they investigate this situation. That's all I want. Investigate the situation. Don't let Rayshard die in vain like that. We don't watch this happen so many years with the young black boys around the country just dying in vain.
And we also spoke to attorney Gerald Griggs, who also leads the Atlanta NAACP. He says the city needs to admit there is a problem with police brutality. Here's some of that interview.
Another police-involved shooting in this city. And we've said it before and we'll say it again. Atlanta has a police brutality problem. It didn't start with our dear brother, Mr. Brooks. It goes back all the way back to Katherine Johnson, all the way back to Corey Ward. And the city has to address this, that Mr. Brooks should be the last one in Atlanta. If the mayor is serious about dealing with this, she needs to speak to this family and she needs to make sure that we have concrete policy changes that reflect the needs of this city.
And as we mentioned at the top of the show, Chief Shields has resigned, and protesters say they plan to stay out here tonight. They're gearing up for a larger protest happening here tonight at 8. Some of them have expressed concerns about all the streets leading to this intersection being closed. We're not sure if those streets will remain closed or if they will open back up before then. Faith, Jeff, back to you.
All right, Latasha, thank you so much. And there's another group of protesters that are gathering right now near Centennial Olympic Park. Hundreds of people already there. Previously planned protests for today are now adapting and responding to the shooting that happened within the last 24 hours here in Atlanta. We have John Sherrick, who's live for us right now from Centennial Olympic Park. And John, what's the mood here, considering now that we have an officer-involved shooting that's affecting the city directly?
Right, there is an added sense of urgency, if that's possible, to everything that's been going on over the last couple of weeks. The crowd was filling this intersection until just a moment ago, and they began to march again down Marietta Street. I asked several people in the crowd, what do you think of the mayor accepting the resignation of the police chief? Many people said, well, change has to happen and change needs to start from the top. Others said, go further, fire all the command staff. Others said, what about the officers' supervisors? What responsibility do they bear in all of this? And many people said the mayor needs to take the next step to defund the police, as they put it, and by that they mean redirect money away from the police department to various social programs that they believe will help the community and prevent crime and ultimately make the communities safer. I'll tell you what we don't see here. We don't see a huge police presence. Just a few police officers down on Marietta Street, basically helping escort the marchers down Marietta Street toward 5 Points. I think that's by design. You know, they've had a big show of force so many of these nights the last couple of weeks. And I believe they are certain that a show of force is not necessary right now to keep the peace. They believe they want to give these people all the room possible to exercise their First Amendment rights. Back to you.
John, thank you. Meanwhile, the Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard said in a statement today that his office is launching its own investigation into the shooting. He also is asking the public and any potential witnesses to contact his office if they have any information. Mr. Howard recently charged 6 APD officers for their involvement in the tasing and arrests of 2 students during the protests downtown 2 Saturdays ago. At the time, the move was condemned by Police Chief Erica Shields, who called it political. At least 2 Atlanta City Council members stopped by the scene today to talk with protesters and air their frustrations. Mara Sirianni has their story.
Within hours of the shooting, word of what had happened here in Atlanta was trending on social media. City council members reacting to and very vocal about video of that incident. Council member Joyce Shepard oversees District 12, where Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed. Today, she returned to the Wendy's for an emotional conversation with protesters.
But how do y'all expect us to keep on being peaceful when we keep being murdered, unjustified? Are you going to let me? Yes, ma'am, I will.
Atlanta activist and attorney Gerald Griggs tweeting this video of the incident. Councilmember Antonio Brown got the call around 1:30 Saturday morning and rushed to the scene.
It was already so much stuff happening that I just reacted immediately and tried to de-escalate the crowd that was out there that was really upset. I mean, they were furious.
Brown and Shepard both questioning the officer's use of excessive force.
Running away from the police officer, he don't have a gun. Is there any reason for them to shoot him? No.
Brown says he's had enough. Waiting around for change to happen while more and more black people die at the hands of officers is something he won't stand for.
We have to act now. I understand the mayor has a task force she's put together, but we either need to get an executive order addressing excessive force immediately, or city council needs to move forward with passing immediate legislation around excessive force.
Investigators are combing over that bystander video, body camera video, and any other additional video from nearby businesses to help them in this investigation.
And that was our Mara Sirianni reporting there. We want to take you live to downtown Atlanta right now. This is right outside Centennial Olympic Park and across from the CNN Center. And just moments ago, we saw hundreds of protesters who were gathered there. But right now, you don't see them because they are marching in the downtown area. So they've moved away from this area, the Marietta Street area, and are walking around downtown right now. We'll continue monitoring this area of downtown where protesters have been gathered for the last 2 weeks and protesting police brutality. And in light of all that's happened in the last 24 hours here in Atlanta, we'll continue monitoring the situation and let you know what's going on.